Hello, everyone! It has been a few weeks, but Avalon and I are back with our Wings of Fire reviews. Welcome back, Avalon.
Good to be back, Tennille.
We are back to tackle the second series of Wings of Fire, starting with the first book, Moon Rising.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that even though this series is very distinctly broken up into arcs the way Warriors is, they've chosen to kind of do it all as one thing. So when you see Moon Rising, it's the first book of the second arc, but they put book 6 on there.
I think that's a smart idea, honestly.
It's good.
Yeah, because I know from my own personal experience and from other people's experience that, you pick up Midnight of the New Prophecy and you go, oh, look, a book with cats. And then you open it up and you're like, what the hecky is going on? Because they just kind of throw you into the world of Warriors, assuming that you have read the other 6 books. And with Wings of Fire actually just coming forward and being like, yo, this is actually book 6, you should probably go back and read the Dragonette Prophecy first. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like, technically, with a bunch of little quotations around it, technically you could start with this book because it has a time skip and a bunch of new characters, but so much relates back to the first arc that a lot of it either isn't really going to make a lot of sense or isn't really going to have the right emotional punch unless you read the first arc. Like,
right.
Who the heck is Queen Scarlet? And
yeah, I just don't think that this would be a great book to come into the series on. I mean, for starters, the world building in the first arc is so good. You'd really just be doing yourself a disservice by having it just dumped on you in this book if this was your starting point. And the idea that, yeah, you're kind of actually stepping to the middle of this story when the first arc, laid out all these story beats so well. Yeah.
Read all the books. Read every... If you see Wings of Fire, pick it up and read it.
Yeah. There hasn't been a bad book in the series, so, you're not cool. Having to, like, sludge through certain books to get to this one. Which I'm just going to say, this one is one of my favorite books.
I'm excited to hear more about that as we get into it. I just opened my book and an Umbreon sticker fell out, so that's cool.
Oh, well, that's a lovely surprise.
I used to use these little evolution stickers as bookmarks, so
aww.
My Flareon is probably in escaping peril. They're all thematically
I mean, that's a good place. Yeah, I'm like, that's a good place for a Flareon.
I'm a nerd. All right, so Moon Rising. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Do you want to start with a summary?
I would freaking love to. Let's do it.
All right.
So first of all, we have some updates to the world map. Always cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's Queen Thorn's... Oh, by the way, this is book 6, so there's going to be spoilers for the last 5 books.
Yes. I would just say right away, don't listen to this review if you have not read the first 6 books, essentially. So this book included.
Yeah, it's going to be spoilers throughout. There's really no way to get around that. But yeah, so now it's Queen Thorn's stronghold and Queen Ruby's palace.
Yeah.
And in the Sea Kingdom, it's now the ruins of the Summer Palace because it got attacked in book 2.
Yeah.
I always like noticing those little...
I know that when I like flipped open this book for the first time and I saw all the changes and everything, I was just like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, look at everything. It's so new and shiny.
Yeah, the Guide to the Dragons of Pyria is updated and edited by Starflight.
Yes.
You get like all the Jade Mountain
welcome
stuff.
to Jade Mountain Academy.
It's so cool. So yeah, so we're going to be following the Jade Winglet throughout, but I kind of wish that there was like more on the other ones. Someone fanfic these other ones. Like, I want to know
Oh
more
gosh,
about.
yeah, that would be fun.
Like, everyone keeps making OCs, and I'm like, but there's so many characters here to develop.
Right.
Stop it. I mean,
It's
your
like
OCs are beautiful, but stop it.
I'm sure these other winglets would be a lot of fun to explore. Gosh,
Yes.
especially
So,
like an enemy's winglet.
yeah, like, what must that be like? You got to deal with this princess. What winglet is she? She's in the silver winglet.
Uh-huh.
With all completely not known characters, like Tamarin's in gold, so she's not in the same one. Sora's in gold, so like all the other plot relevant ones are in that aren't in the Jade Winglet or in the Gold Winglet, and then she's in silver.
Yeah, I guess
The
so.
Copper and the Quartz Winglets, like I'm not even sure are a thing.
We
Like
know
I don't.
Mighty Claws
Yeah, that's
a
one, but it's
bit.
like I don't think he really shows up that much.
No.
Like they're all just background characters with hardly any on-screen time. Go forth, fanfic writers.
Be free.
Okay, but let's do the plot summary because I recently skimmed over all of this. When the Nightwings were going to shit on that island, a secret keeper snuck her egg out and had it grow and hatch in the rainforest instead because she wasn't going to have her little baby dragon live in any kind of life like that.
Good job, Mama.
She ended up hatching under 2 full moons. So that's how, because in the last books, the Nightwings were like, yeah, we lied about having powers. We don't do any of that. Turns out they do. It's just the fact that they haven't hatched under moonlight in so long that they forgot that they could do it because they've been living on an island where there's a constant stream of volcanic ash blocking the moonlight out. And
You
I'm pretty sure
think
they hatch underground.
you think they would realize that how and why that was happening? Like, yes, it makes sense like generations later why, but you know, when they first moved to the volcanic island and the superpower that they have suddenly stopped working and they know how it works. We know later on from other books that they know how it works.
Well, we'll probably be talking about that in when we review
Yeah.
Darkstalker, because there is evidence to suggest that they might have done it on purpose.
Yeah. Oh,
Until that
that's right. That's
so that'll
right.
be fun to talk about while we scream and cry.
I'm not ready.
We're deliberately putting off Darkstalker at this point.
I
want to talk about it, but I do, but I don't. So yeah, so the new baby Nightwing Moonwatcher hatches under 2 moons, so she can read minds and also has some prophetic visions that she's not 100% in control of yet, because there's no one around to teach her how to control these things. So that's not cool. But this is a couple years ago. So flash forward to the present. I think it's 2 years or something like that after the events of the first 5 books, and the Dragonets of Destiny have established a school because otherwise the world is just going to go to shit and start another war. So they're like, okay, let's get everyone together. Let's have dragons from all the tribes interact and talk to each other and get over their prejudice, basically, because all the tribes are really super prejudiced against each other, with the exception of the Rainwings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and yet again, we see that you know, our 5 main characters from the first arc are just so hopeful that by introducing dragons to each other, that'll make them friendlier. Like, oh, if we just bring these dragons up the same way we were brought up, then everything will be fine and everyone will be friends. And Jade Academy quickly shows that that is not necessarily the case.
unfortunately, well, and that's because it's still a new concept as well.
Right.
Like, this is brand new. These are dragons that maybe would have never met a dragon from another tribe outside of the battlefield. And these are also a lot of dragons who have been soldiers, who have been fighting in the war.
Oh, yeah.
Who never got a chance to get any kind of education in the first place. So it's for them as well.
Yeah, they've
Like the
already
entire Rainwing tribe is illiterate, so Starflight's going to be teaching all of them how to read.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and they've already grown up with so much prejudice just instilled in them from the very beginning.
Yeah, so it's a really big undertaking, and that was actually when I like first heard the plot to this book and it was going to revolve around basically Dragon High School. I was like kind of dreading it going in. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be like a high school AU fic." But no, it's like it's so good. It fits the world perfectly. It fits the characters perfectly. It makes complete and utter sense, and the type of lessons that they have, and it's really interesting. It's really cool. It's like you're actually excited about seeing what they're going to do and enjoying how much the main characters come to love the school and their classmates. And of course the whole series isn't going to be in this one location because it's Wings of Fire, but that one location you get attached to enough that you really care what happens to it. And that's important because
well, and I love how they describe Jade Academy too, because you see that Sunny, Clay, Tsunami, Glory, Starflight, they all put so much effort into making it a very friendly looking school. Like first you think of all these, it's like, oh well, it's these drab caves in the mountains, but no, it's like they have lights in there and it's all decorated, and they even have like a school cafeteria, which just makes me laugh.
Like it's really nice, and I think that they're being backed by several, if not all, of the queens. Like I know Coral and Thorn are invested. I think Ruby might be as well. Not sure about Glacier or Moorhen. And
obviously
Glory obviously is super into it. I don't think the Rainwings have much treasure to fund it, but she's definitely offering what support she can. So yeah, like this is like a whole continent-wide endeavor kind of social experiment to see if this works out. And then
I definitely think Queen Glacier is very much in support of it, because that's why she sends her niece and nephew.
Yeah, she sent some high-profile dragons. So like a lot of these dragons are really high-profile too. Because you have Anemone, who's a princess. You have, well, Tsunami is a princess as well, and she's one of the administrators. You have Kinkajou and Tamarin, who are two of Glory's close friends. Winter and Icicle are the niece and nephew of Queen Glacier, which they will not let you forget ever.
No.
I just love that one.
Snobbish Knight for Snobbish Ice Wings.
Keebly? Keebly, I think is how you pronounce it. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I always pronounce it Quibbly.
I think because there's no U, it's the hard case. I don't know.
Quibbly?
I mean, there's even a point, and not a spoiler, but there's a point later on in the series where they even refer to him as the one with the weird name. So,
rip.
It's acknowledged at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna end up calling him Quibbly because that's just the name I've been saying in my head this entire time.
The handsome Sandwing. We know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Moon is both excited and also scared about going to this school because she's a mind reader and there's going to be a lot more dragons around than she's used to dealing with, and she hasn't really had much socialization because she's been hiding in the rainforest for most of her life. So she's like sort of like, okay, I'm going to go to school, it'll be fine, but at the same time she's like, oh Christ, I'm going to go to school.
And it won't be fine.
So yeah, but she meets the important members of her winglet because Carnelian doesn't even freaking matter.
Oh man, Carnelian.
Pour one out for Carnelian.
Yeah.
So her winglet members are Winter, who is a stuffy asshole. Umber, who's one of Clay's siblings and an overall sweetheart. Kinkajou, who is basically dynamite as a dragon. Everyone's always like, oh, Kinkaju's the Sunny of the group. She's so nice and sweet. And I'm like, she would kill you for one corn chip.
So true.
Are we
though.
reading the same book? Kinkaju is a freaking firecracker, dude. She is not subdued, or well, neither is Sunny subdued, but
Well,
I
but
mean,
she's not
nice.
nearly as level-headed as Sunny. She's like way more energetic.
Yeah, it's like she's nice, but she's way more reckless. She's way more. She's the tsunami of this group, okay?
Well, okay, yeah, and I love that this book starts with Moon because we get to hear the thoughts of all these dragons because she's a mind reader. And so you get to see like the inside of a lot of these characters right away. And Kinkaju, you know, while she has a very nice exterior, is a sassy firecracker.
Kinkaju is ready to. She can't read, but she can read you, okay?
Right.
And yeah, that was just an absolutely brilliant move on Sutherland's part, having the introductory POV for this particular group of characters be able to see from all of their point of view so that you can very firmly establish them, because
there's a lot of new characters to get to know. And
yeah, and in the Dragonet Prophecy, they've known each other such a long time that from Clay's interactions with each of them, you get a very good sense of who they are. These are dragons that are meeting for the first time, so you can't really do that without having it come off as more of an omniscient narrator.
Right.
So that was the exact right thing to do.
And so many of them are socially awkward, especially when it comes to like Moon. And Kinkaju has her own like social anxiety in Winter, especially doesn't know how to socialize at all.
Winter's a Gemini.
Right. And so it would be really hard to get to know all of these characters without the mind reading, unless with like someone like Quibbly, who's just very good at reading people and does know how to socialize.
Oh, but his thoughts are so interesting because he's so like on it all the time. His like I think Moon describes his thoughts as like, oh, I can't remember exactly, but she's like, they're always going. He's always thinking like at a really high speed.
Something about like it's like shifting sand.
Yeah, like he just goes constantly. Like he appears very laid back and relaxed on the exterior, but then inside he is constantly calculating, constantly looking for the alternatives, making sure he's doing things correctly. He's almost manipulative, but not in such a mean-spirited or kind of villainous way. Like it's all 100% well-intentioned, but it is very much, what do I say to get this person to like me? That's what I'm going to say to them. Versus what do I want to say?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating, and we get to find out why that is later. We should probably preface this by saying how far we've read. So I'm completely caught up. I've read everything that's currently available. I think you're up to Escaping Peril plus Darkstalker?
Yes.
So you have not read the last 2 books.
That is correct.
So I'm not going to say anything about specifically about those, but it's like I know the things. All right, and then who else is in? Oh, Turtle, me.
Me.
And then
me.
A roast spicy girl. Carnelian, the chicken nugget.
Oh, poor Cornelia. I was genuinely surprised when she died because I was like, all right, the Jade Winglet, they're here to stay. Like, these are going to be our main characters. Woohoo! And then kaboom! And I'm like, oh.
No, this is Wings of Fire. Children has to die.
They set up so much personality, and, you know, she had, like, a goal that she
had, like, a whole backstory that we didn't get.
Yeah, it's like all this stuff about, you know, it's like, oh, well, I just got to get back to Queen Ruby and yada, 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 and then kabloo, and I'm like, oh. And she's dead.
Yeah, I was especially surprised because there was a prevailing headcanon in the fandom at the time that, like, royalty were named after Shades of Red, so I'm like, oh, her name is Carnelian. Is she, like, a royal? Like, is she a niece or something like that? And I guess not. I guess
No.
that headcanon was tossed out, but
Yeah, from what we know, she's just a soldier. A
yeah,
very
but it was
devout
like
soldier, but a soldier nonetheless.
yeah, it was surprising at the time because a lot of people just assumed from her name that she might be connected to royalty just through fan theory, which is interesting how that happens.
Right.
Fan theory is always a wild time.
So long so long as fan theory doesn't get you in so deep that when the book comes out and you find out what really happened, you're not like, no, betrayal.
Yeah, unfortunate. We'll have to talk about that later on too. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I know what you wanted. It would have been cool. I think what we got was cool, though, so calm. So anywho, after Moon gets there, she starts her voice. And this voice belongs to Darkstalker, who we heard briefly mentioned in the 5th book as someone you should be afraid of. You should.
I'm just gonna keep laughing.
Well, he's really well done. He is such a charming and charismatic antagonist that you do kind of not know whether you should trust him or not. And you're very much with Moon on, is he actually as evil as all these scrolls say, or were things taken out of context and exaggerated over time? He seems fine.
I love
but
him.
He is probably the best written villain in children's literature right now, I would say. Like, Tiger Star's pretty far up there, like first arc Warriors, Tiger Star's pretty strong villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Darkstalker's got him beat all to hell, though.
Darkstalker is still good. I mean, there's so much I want to say about him, but it's gonna have to wait.
Yeah, to anyone who thinks that you can read this arc without reading the Darkstalker Super Edition, basically, yeah, you need to read that. It's out in paperback now. Go read it as well as this.
Don't deprive yourself from it. It's an excellent read, probably the best book in the series, but go!
It's so good. It is so good, and it adds so much to this series. It came out after Escaping Peril, but because of my buying habits, I ended up reading it before Winter Turning. So in Winter Turning, when a certain dragon appeared, I was like, yes!
Yeah! Well, I mean...
My longest yeah boy ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I'll have more to say about that when we get to Winter Turning.
We're still gotta get through. Okay, so Darkstalker makes his appearance. This book is a lot of exposition and a lot of stage setting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why we keep cutting in and talking about each thing as I go over it, because plot-wise, there's not a lot that happens in this book, but the character establishment and the setting establishment is A, very needed for where the series is going to go, and yes, B, just a freaking delight to read, honestly. Literally nothing plot relevant could happen in this book at all, and I would still love it to bits because the characters are just so good.
I would. You joked earlier about it being like a Dragon High School AU. I would have probably loved this book just as much if it was just a Dragon High School AU. It's just so entertaining, and especially from Moon's perspective and her mind reading abilities. That's why this book like just tickles all my fancies, because it's just so much fun to read. And you get so much characterization in this one book.
It is great. It is so fantastic. And okay, in the second half, we actually do get some plot to kick things off. There's an explosion that happens, and that's how Carnelian gets deep fried crispy.
What you say?
That you only meant well, of course you did. And Tamarin gets hurt, and I'm like, no, not Tamarin. God damn it!
But she's only hurt. Do not have good luck in this arc.
Thank God Tamarin survives. I would be so pissed.
Yeah.
But it's then they got to find out, who was trying to assassinate and what was going on. They think that someone might be going after the Dragonets of Destiny. They are correct, but it's not the person that they thought. It turns out that, and this is actually really interesting and something that I very much love and appreciate this book for doing. So what happened, because it's not just completely separated from the first arc, which is really why you need to read the first arc first. You can't just jump in here.
Yeah.
Clay's siblings were soldiers in the war. They fought, and they fought specifically against the Ice Wings a lot of the time. And Sora, who is one of Clay's sisters, ended up being roommates, basically, with an Ice Wing, and specifically the Ice Wing that she believed killed their big wings. Crane was their big wings, wasn't she?
No, not their big wings, but just their sister.
Okay. I forgot which one of them. I couldn't remember if Reed had always been their big wings or if he was stepping up for Crane. Of course, with Clay absent, but
no, Reed is their replacement big wing for Clay.
Okay, but yeah, so I mean, Crane was still freaking awesome, apparently, and yeah, Sora was like, yeah, at first I wasn't sure if, I was just, PTSD hallucinating that this was the same Ice Wing, but then I heard her talking in her sleep and she was saying all these terrible things, and I knew that she was a murderer, and I had to kill her.
Right.
So the explosion was a misguided attempt from Sora to kill Icicle because she thought she would be alone in that area. At the time, she wasn't familiar with the explosive that she used or how long it would take to actually go off. So she accidentally ended up killing Carnelian and injuring Tamarin. And then she and Umber left because the students are all there under the permission of their queens, and, should anything happen to them, it could go south really fast, especially if it's one tribe student attacking another tribe student. It would look
if
really...
that tribe student happens to be a princess.
Yeah, if anything happens to Anemone.
Yeah, an enemy.
We're dead.
Yeah. What's cool about this book is it balances, like, you have the first part where it starts off as like the high school AU, and then you get into the second part, which is more like a murder mystery, and it's a really good murder mystery.
Yeah, because, and this is the thing that I think I love about this book the most, mind reading powers are very difficult to write well, same as future sight powers. Both of those are extremely difficult to portray without constantly having plot holes come up. And this series does them both very well, and this one does the mind reading very well.
The book does the mind reading and the prophecy stuff so well, or like the seeing the future stuff so well, and it's something where it's like, if you explain that, like, oh yeah, it's this book that has dragons and they can read minds and see the future, like, someone would probably like roll your eyes at you and be like, that sounds dumb. But I'm like, no, this is actually some of the best uses of those kinds of powers I've ever seen in a book before, ever.
Yeah, like, I'm over here taking notes.
Right.
Yeah, like, so Moon and Keebly team up and start, like, kind of trying to get close to some other dragons and steer the conversation toward the explosion so that they can, like, she can mind read and find out who did it. Because obviously whoever did it's going to be thinking about it.
Yeah, and a few of their suspects, just because Moon can't read their minds, which is very strange, is Turtle and... oh gosh, who's
Onyx.
the other dragon? Onyx, yes.
Who is a Sandwing in the Gold Winglet, because all the other plot important characters are in the Gold Winglet, pretty much.
Yeah. And I do love that, there are dragons that Moon can't read, and there's a very specific reason for that, which we'll probably say in just a second. But Turtle is so mysterious, and especially since I haven't read Talons of Power, you know, it's like I feel like I know nothing about Turtle yet, but
Oh, you're gonna love
he's a
him.
great character in this book and in the books to follow, because there's just so little you know about him. And the one thing you do know about him is that Moon has has like a future sight vision of him that is not very flattering and seems to be contradictory to who he's shown himself to be.
Prepare to hurt. Because, well, unfortunately, that one doesn't come out in paperback until next summer, when the first book of the third arc comes out.
I'm probably gonna have to cave and just buy the last two in hardback.
Well, you have that iPad now. Can you get them on ebook?
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to own the physical copies if I'm gonna be buying them.
But yeah, it's unfortunately these books take 1.5 to almost 2 years to come out in paperback. So, yep. Yeah, but like, fortunately, I have a very good library where I can get them from. But
that's good.
I'm not waiting for the first book of the third arc. I'm just gonna probably cave and get the ebook and just buy the paperback later.
Yeah, it's like I'm probably just going to be buying hardback from now on, because it's like, well, yep, it's out. Here's my money.
But yeah, no, Turtle's gonna hurt real bad. Well, then again, like, all these characters are like hashtag relatable.
Right? Yes.
Like, every time I'm like, Moon's the most relatable protagonist ever, and then it's like, Winter's the most relatable protagonist
ever.
Peril's the most relatable protagonist, and then you get to Turtle, and I'm like, oh. Turtle is what cemented me being a Sea Wing, honestly, with my little dragon that I put on our videos. Yeah. Pretty much the reason I decided to just throw in the towel on it and just be a Sea Wing instead of like a Sky Wing or a Night Wing is because of Turtle.
You read the opening paragraph to Turtle's book and you're like, yes, it's me.
I mean, pretty much.
Is it? Okay. Not to get into Winter turning, but is it any better than Winter's like opening sentence where he's just like from
I don't know if it's as early as the opening sentence, but Turtle is arguably worse.
Oh. Poor Bab.
Like, oh, I can't tell you anything, but
don't.
Turtle's narration has a theming device to it. Ooh. That makes it very obvious why I relate to Turtle so much.
Ooh.
And it's really kind of cute. I love Turtle.
At the convention that I was at just, a little bit ago, there were so many people, well, only a few people came up to me who were like, oh, Wings of Fire! But the people who were there always like stopped at the table and made sure to talk to me. And they're like, do you have one of Turtle? And I'm like, I haven't read his book yet, so no. And they're like, oh, I love Turtle so much.
Yeah, oh god, they're all so good. Why can't I hold all these favorite characters? Okay, but back, so Sora and Umber ollie out, but then Moon is like, Icicle is still evil though, basically. Icicle's still a bitch, and trying to kill Starflight, because there's a whole other thing going on that's going to take up the next 2 books. Because
Icicle is is no good.
Just every time I see Icicle on the page, like, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch just starts playing in my head for some reason. But yeah, so plot starts kind of moving, and we see where the next couple books are going to go. Is Icicle has been contacted by Queen Scarlet using a dream visitor, because Queen Scarlet's still around. We see her at the end of book 5. And she wants revenge on the Dragonettes, especially Glory, but Glory's not at the school.
Yeah.
So she is holding Winter and Icicle's brother, Hailstorm, hostage, and basically has made a deal with Icicle that if Icicle can kill the Dragonettes of Destiny, that she will free their brother.
Right, and their
So
brother
where he's being
Hailstorm has
held.
been presumed dead for the last 2 years.
2 years, I think, because they assumed that when the Nightwings came down in the first book and killed all the Icewing prisoners that Starflight was supposed to fight, they assumed that Hailstorm was one of them.
Right.
And the Icewings are also super freaking pissed about that.
Yes.
Which, everything kind of comes back in this series. If a big event happened in the first arc and didn't really see a follow-up, it's probably going to get followed up on here.
Yeah.
Like, there have even been some extremely minor character mentions that end up being somewhat important later. There's even in this book, I'm pretty sure in Moon Rising, there is setup for the third arc. And it's like
Really?
the teeniest, tiniest little throwaway line that you would never suspect. It's when Darkstalker is showing Moon, like, the good future.
Oh.
And let me see if I can find it. Like, he shows her the future, and he's like, oh, this is what it could be. And it's like the Dragonets of Destiny with their kids.
Oh.
Looking back on it, the way one of them was described, I'm like, that was foreshadowing for the third arc.
Oh, I love it.
Like, when I first read it, I thought that it meant one thing, but I'm thinking now it might have meant something else.
Speaking of Darkstalker,
and I can't share that with you because you're not there yet.
Soon.
I want to theorize with you, Tennille.
But speaking of Darkstalker, kind of going back to him, so throughout this whole book, Darkstalker's been talking to Moon, and like actually being helpful, trying to figure out this murder mystery, but also trying to convince Moon to help him, because he has been stuck underground for 2,000, 5,000 years, something like that.
2,000 or so?
I think it's 2,000.
Stuck down there a long ass time.
Yeah, and he eventually mentions a scroll, and he's like, the scroll has all my magic in it, because I am also an animus dragon. I put all my magic into the scroll so that I wouldn't go nutso like animus dragons do. Would you find this for me? And then that would be how you free me. And Moon's like, maybe. I still don't know if I trust you or not.
Yeah, it's just... there's a lot of...
There's a lot of layers.
Go really wrong in a lot of ways. This could go really good, and we don't know which is gonna be.
It leaves me kind of speechless, because I know things, and I'm in the camp that, like, when I was reading this book, I'm like, yeah, I like Darkstalker. Yeah, let's free him. I don't care about the consequences. Let's just do this.
I just want to see him out of the mountain.
Yeah, it's like, oh, poor guy. He's been stuck there for 2,000 years. Aw. Everybody's lied about his history. Aw, this is so sad.
8% certain evil become much of one of my villains.
Well, okay, see.
And I'm like,
There's the thing too. He reminds me of Golden Pelt, one of my OCs too.
Oh, right.
And so my heart is immediately like, oh, you're probably not good, but Bab,
You're such a good character, though.
You're probably not all bad though, which just makes my heart hurt.
Oh. That's really all you could. A lot of these books are going to be us screaming, because as excellent as the first arc was, I think that the second arc really takes it up a notch and really goes all the way with it.
Yeah, it's like,
in a lot of respects.
the first arc, like we've talked before, is very formulaic. And I think while we were going through the first arc, I did say to you a lot of times, it's like, I kind of found this, what was supposed to be like a plot twist, fairly predictable. But in this second arc, I don't feel like that's as much of a problem. It feels like every time there's a significant plot twist, I'm like, what? Oh my god, holy shit!
Yeah, like the second arc, I think my one critique of it would be that, sometimes there's something that's just too much of a coincidence, or something's just, happens a little too easily. But
Yeah, that's
very
fair.
rarely, and not like, it's not like with a lot of YA novels where, it's just a case of, well, even then, a lot of the characters in the second arc are a little bit OP, but they're like OP by design.
Yeah.
Because the enemy that they're fighting is the most OP dragon that's ever lived.
Yeah.
You gotta have some special help on your side for that.
Well,
And
I
it's
mean,
like,
God,
I
okay,
can see
it's
some
like
of the...
this. This is a speech that should be saved for Darkstalker, but I just want to say this now. It's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't matter how good Darkstalker could be or how good he is. He's too powerful. He's just too powerful. He could be the nicest guy in the world, but he's just too powerful to let live. You know?
Yeah, like, oh man, imagine, oh god, I want to talk about all of the books right now. Why do we have to wait? Why can't we just talk about everything now?
Ah.
I know it's because the video would be way too long, but still, it's like I feel like it's almost difficult to talk about this book without also talking. And it's hard to talk about this entire arc without also talking about Legends Darkstalker,
Right.
because so much of it connects to each other, and so much of it comes together in such a, like a quilt, just perfectly sewn.
Yeah. Well, and okay, like
interconnected
this is
threads.
kind of a way to connect things while still talking about this book. The way his and Moon's interactions play out, Moon knows that there is a very good chance she's being manipulated by him. Knows that she knows that there's a good chance she's being manipulated by him. And there's so many times where it's like they're having conversations inside each other's heads where it's just like where Moon is literally asking him something like, "Are you lying to me?" And Darkstalker responds with something like, "Now, Moon, please don't do this to me. How am I supposed to answer that question? No matter what I tell you, you could just think that I'm saying a lie," which is such an honest way to go about that question, and yet also just proves how distrustful you should be of him. Like,
Yeah, because it's a very manipulator, abusive kind of response, but I mean it's accurate.
yeah, but it's also honest, which makes you go, "Oh, well, okay, at least he's being honest with me." And it's like,
Honestly, it reminds me of one of the best scenes in one of my favorite books, The Giver,
mhm.
because a startlingly large number of people have not read this book, and I'm very sad about it because it's been around a while. But it's like this dystopian lit, the guy lives in a kid lives in a perfect society and all this stuff, and he gets assigned to this really special job that they only have one of, and it's this super, like, think of it like he's the med cat apprentice
Right.
in a very big clan that only ever has one medicine cat at a time. That's kind of like the level of reverence this has.
Mhm.
And he gets an instruction sheet, and at the bottom of the instruction sheet it says, "You may lie."
Oh.
And he just stares at that question because he's never lied before. He's never even really thought of any reason why he would ever need to lie. And he just looks at it and he's like, does every other adult get this instruction? Do all the adults have the ability to lie, and have they been lying to me? And if they were, how would I ever know? Because if I ask them, they could lie.
Right.
And
It's
it like
just like
wrecks his trust in a lot of people, I think.
it's just one of those things that then makes you spiral into paranoia.
So yeah, it's I love this book. It makes me think of other books I love.
Another character I think we should definitely talk about, because we haven't really talked about him yet, is Winter. And I think there's enough to talk about him from this book without going into the next book, Winter Turning.
Yeah, Winter's
I
sorry, boy.
I love all the moments in this book though where so tropey, but I love it. Where he's thinking like, "Ah, stupid moon watcher, stupid Nightwings, why is she so pretty?
Stupid sexy Flanders.
Stupid sexy Nightwings." And Moon's just like, huh.
Yeah. I love it because you can clearly there is a love triangle set up with Moon,
yeah.
Keebly, and Winter. And you can clearly see that Winter's supposed to be like the bad boy, but then his mind is just like nerd.
Yeah, his mind is just like, girls are pretty and I don't know how to talk around them.
Hey, want to see my scavenger?
Oh, Winter's whole subplot with the scavenger makes me laugh so hard.
It just keeps going
so
too.
dumb.
It literally keeps going.
Yes, it just keeps going, and Winter tries so hard, but he just does all the wrong things. And it's comedy that doesn't need to be explained because we are scavengers. We know the people things, and Winter just is so bad.
I'm like, well, I get the feeling that it's gonna be important because they did announce that they're gonna do another of those like Darkstalker style super edition type things.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be about the humans that killed Queen Oasis.
Oh.
So we are getting a human perspective on this series from what I can tell.
Interesting. Well, maybe
And I'm like, I'm kind of mad, but at the same time I'm like, how is she gonna pull this one off?
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
Oh god, I just came across the funniest line in the book again.
Which one is it?
Still reeling, Moon turned and found that Umber, Marsh, and Sora had fled with most of the other dragons. A few moments later, no one was left in the prey center except the two Ice Wings, Keebly, Moon, and Clay, who had also rushed to Icicle's side. By all the moons, Clay cried. How did that happen? Are you all right? No, Icicle roared, lashing her tail. Someone tried to kill me. The niece of Queen Glacier, Queebly thought.
The niece of Queen Glacier. Yeah, God, I love Quibbly. He's such
and then reprimanded himself.
Yes! Oh! I love it. After he finds out that Moon has these powers, and then he's like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm such a horrible person. Please don't judge me for how I think. And Moon's like, you're honestly really nice, Quibbly. Please stop being so hard on yourself.
I mean, he thinks everything that we think, and it's great.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm sorry. I feel like this video is just kind of us going, this book, I love it so much, and kind of talking around things a little bit, but honestly, you just need to read it.
I know. Well, that's because it's like, I don't feel like there's a whole lot to critique about this book. There's just, there's a lot of funny moments all strung together to tell a really good story. And I mean, oh gosh, there's a scene in here. I think it's where they're all for like one of their first classes with Tsunami. and Moon is just reading everybody's minds as they like go around a circle and introduce themselves. And I think it's one of the funniest scenes in the book because Quibbly's just there like analyzing everybody, and Winter's just, trying his best to have the snobbish face but quietly dying on the inside. Oh, this book. That's why I love it so much, I think, was because of the humor in it.
Yeah, especially with Kinkajou. Kinkajou gets some of the best lines in the entire arc.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're talking about Stone Mover or something. Yeah. It's, let's go to the music wing next, Kinkajou said. Or, ooh, I heard there's an old ghost living somewhere in Jade Mountain. Maybe we can find him. Moon's ears twitched. A ghost? Was she hearing the voice of a ghost? That would be... Stone Mover, Starflight said. And he's not a ghost. He's Sunny's father, and he's a perfectly nice old Nightwing who's lived here for ages. He sleeps a lot and doesn't need little dragonettes sneaking up on him or pouncing on his tail to find out if he's real. He does like company, though, so if you're interested in a polite conversation with him, I can tell you how to find him. Polite conversation, yawn, Kinkajou said with a shrug of her wings. You should tell everyone he's a ghost. That would be way more exciting.
Oh, poor Stone Mover.
I'm still looking for that one little tidbit. Because I don't want to tell you what I think it means, but I do want you to be aware of it.
I guess we haven't really talked about the end of this book, like how it actually wraps up.
Oh, yes. Do you want to go into that while I search for the passage?
Sure. Okay, so Icicle has been working with Queen Glacier. Once this is revealed, she tries to kill Starflight because she figures, Starflight will be the easiest to pick off. Quibbly and Moon try and stop her and end up running into Winter. Winter hears about this whole shenanigans and about how Icicle is trying to save their brother, but Winter decides to help them in stopping Icicle because killing dragons is wrong, and they don't even know if Hailstorm is actually alive and Queen Scarlet isn't just screwing with her. So Icicle runs off, and Winter decides that he needs to go track down his sister. So he leaves, and then Quibbly, Moon, and Kinkajou and Turtle decide that they need to go after Winter and help him. And they find him not far outside of Jade Mountain, releasing his scavenger. Because he realizes that he can't keep a scavenger with him if he goes back to the Ice Kingdom, and he would just likely get eaten if he was left at Jade Academy. But they do that, and then only Moon, Quibbly, Kinkajou, and Winter leave together. Turtle ends up going back to Jade Academy. Oh, and there's another big plot point, another big plot point we didn't mention in this book. Peril shows up.
Yes.
Yes.
My girl. Like, honestly, I was surprised that she just wasn't in the Jade Winglet from the get-go.
Yeah, it's like, I knew that from talking with you, it's like, okay, there's going to be a Peril book in the future. And I was like, huh, but she's not in the Jade Winglet. And she's not here yet. And then all of a sudden she showed up, and I'm like, And then explosions and murder happened, and it was like, oh, okay, I see where we're going here now.
But yeah, it's like, there's a lot of setup in the first act that's just really, really good. And then everything kicks into high gear, and you know that you're not really going to be spending a ton of time at the school anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's like I would have... that was one kind of downside of this book, as I was looking forward to more of the school things. And so when I ended the book, I was like, oh, that's too bad. But also, having read the next two books, I'm like, you know what? That's fine. The next two books have been great, so no complaints here.
Yeah, and you do still get a very good attachment to Jade Mountain Academy in this book, where when Moon actually has the vision and relays the prophecy about how it might fall apart, you are legitimately concerned for that. So
yeah, and I mean, and also going back to Darkstalker, there's so many times where Darkstalker is like trying to save Moon from going into these dangerous situations. Like fighting
because he's
Icicle.
just basically screwed if anything happens to her.
Right. He's like, please live.
If you die, Moon, I freaking swear.
I die. I mean, I don't because I'm immortal, but please don't die.
Like,
Other than
yeah,
I
like
really
I really
it.
wish that we could be more analytical on this, but it's hard to do that because most of this book is establishment, and
It's really, really good establishment. And it's like this is the reward for going through, not to say that the last 5 books, were a pain to get through or anything like that, but this is the reward you get after reading those books and doing all that world building and stuff. Fun you just get to have by knowing the rules of this world now. Before things start to get really serious again.
yeah, because honestly, this is like a breather for the next 2 books. Pretty much the whole arc. Like, this is the only time you get to kind of stop and rest the entire arc.
Mm-hmm. And there's still so much like ominous stuff going on and being thrown in your face. Like, what's up with Darkstalker? Who's the one doing all these murders? When you find out who it is, you're like, oh my gosh. And I do want to kind of talk about Sora again for a little bit. I love how she was handled. Her whole like PTSD and just, I guess, her vigilante ismness words of trying to take out Icicle and not just going to Clay or Reed or somebody about this.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like for a high school AU, that's a pretty bold decision for Tree Sutherland to make, is to essentially sympathize with a high school bomber.
Yeah, not just that, but kind of realistically go into the PTSD
The effects of
and
this.
what she went through during the war, because the Dragonets of Destiny really weren't involved in the war that much.
Right. And it's like there's so much bad blood that they aren't really taking into account. That there are going to be situations where there's no way some of these dragons are going to be able to forgive each other.
Yeah, it's especially with the Nightwings and the Icewings, they've been at each other's throats forever, pretty much. The only way that war ever stopped was because they couldn't find the Nightwings anymore.
Right.
And they're going to have to deal with it, and it's, a really tense situation, and it's, especially now, a pretty high-profile topic. So, kudos for going there.
Mm-hmm.
God, sorry, I keep skimming through this book trying to find this passage, and I can't remember if it's before or after the cave blows up, because it's just kind of snuck in there. It doesn't really stand out that much.
I mean, that's how well it's just hidden in there.
Yeah, like it's almost, I even went to the wiki to see if they had a page number for it, but
really, but nothing.
Yeah, it's well, the wiki doesn't have like page citations.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's in the later half of the book, but it's like this possible future where you definitely see a potential daughter of Glory and Deathbringer named Firefly, and she's like in the library reading a scroll with 2 other dragons, and one of them seems like it might be Clay and Peril's kid. But then I'm pretty sure that it was confirmed on Twitter that Peril can't have babies.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Damn it.
Because how would she?
But then that leads the question, who's that other dragon?
Right. And I mean, it could be anybody.
Due to reasons, I find that really suspicious of
Due
who
to
that might be. There are reasons for me to feel suspicious about that dragon.
Well, we should probably find a way to wrap up the Moon Rising review.
Yeah, we probably should. So, gosh, it's such a good book. Please read it.
Yes, definitely.
There's really no way to explain how good it is. You just kind of have to experience it.
It's so memorable, and it's got such good characterization. I know I've praised that to high heaven and back, but I love the characters in the second arc so much. And it doesn't diminish my love at all for the characters in the first, but I think I really like the characters in the second arc just a little bit more. They just feel more fleshed out, even right away here at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, and that's, to say nothing of the first arc, which had excellent characterization as well, but it's like, through writing the first arc, Sutherland got even better at it. So it's just taken up to a whole new level. Like, we had 10 out of 10 in the first, or maybe like 9 out of 10, because the clay thing still bugs me. Just really, really high scores in the first arc, and now it's like, 13 out of 10 here, where it's just gone so much further. Because these are dragons that have been out in the world, that have been forming, ideas based on their experiences, whereas the first arc protagonists had been hidden away and really only had each other. So now you're getting a lot more of what the tribe's cultures are like, how they think about things, what they pass on to their offspring. And you're seeing that, and you're seeing that come to blows and clashing with other ideologies. And it's really, really interesting.
Exactly. And you're just seeing these dragons who haven't grown up with each other. And I think that's a big part of it too. So there's just so much more to clash with, because like the Dragonettes of Destiny were like a well-oiled machine. They knew how to work with each other. They had their inside jokes and all that. But these are characters coming together and forming a bond that is derived of necessity, not necessarily because they all like each other, which I always like seeing.
These are characters that are going to have to learn to become friends and learn how to work together, which wasn't really needed in the first arc because they were already like that. They were already basically family. So
yeah. So yeah, there's our review for the first book of the second arc of Wings of Fire. If you guys like this, if you guys like this, be sure to like the video and all that. Be sure to check out Avalon's channel. That's where our other half of the reviews go. That's where we will be reviewing the next book, Winter Turning. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. And any final words?
Just please read the series, for the love of God. It's so
Read
good.
Wings of Fire. It's so good. It makes me emotional.
Like, just read it. Just do it.
I need people to read it so that I could do map parts and PMV maps and on all that. I want it all. Give me.
Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Please.
Yeah, we will come back to Scream in Winter Turning.
Yes. Farewell.